Hello, this is Billy Fletcher with Alliance Champions Training Center here with you again. Today, I want to kind of take some points from a recent workshop we did called Making 2018 the Best Year Ever. It's just a few things that we're kind of trying to set up our year with, some exercises or tools that you can use in your everyday life, just really to make your life better, or like I said, our goal is to make it the best year ever. So we kind of started off with really the fact that we by nature are teleological. That simply means that by nature we do better. We have targets or goals. And a simple little exercise that I've done in the past, which is kind of eye-opening for some people, is we just do a little drill. So the drill starts off like you just kind of bring your arm straight out in front and kind of make it like a pointer finger with your finger. And all we do is keep our feet parallel. Okay, keep our feet placed where they are, and we're going to rotate around. And the way I always say this, rotate as far as you can. That's the key thing. So as far as you can, rotate around, and kind of just use your finger like a sight on a gun. Kind of find the point where you get to, and then come back. And then I always have everybody up there. Okay, you got the point. Now we go back. We do the same thing again. We just see if we can go just a little bit further. Repeat, and come back. And of course, you can do this at home as well. And you can maybe guess what might happen. Every time I've ever done this drill, everybody says, I went further the second time. And why? Well, someone said, well, I got warmed up the first time. Maybe, that could be it. But my take on it is that really the first time you didn't really know how far you could go. And when you set the mark, the second time you had a target. And so when you try to go further, you knew where your mark was, you had a target, you had a goal, and you were able to go a little bit further. So it's just a little simple drill, just demonstrating the importance of having goals. So that's kind of how we started off our workshop. Just first kind of understanding that if we've got something to shoot for, okay, we've got a goal out there, we're more likely to move in that direction. We're not just kind of haphazardly going through, muddling through, and end up, the beginning of 2019, we'll be at the beginning of 2018. So setting goals is very important. The second thing we did was kind of do some reflection. So, for instance, kind of looking back through 2017, look at really two things. Look at, okay, what went well in 2017, because everybody had something that went well, and then also looking at what didn't go so well, and just kind of take note of that. What things went well, what things didn't go well, and how can I use that, for this year. And then you can even take that even further back, maybe even 5 or 10 years back, depending on your age, maybe even further than that, and just kind of look at, like, when was I at my best? What were the things I was doing at that point in time? How was I thinking? That sort of thing, and just kind of reflect and maybe make some notes on that. And then the same thing, look forward. Where do I want to be at the end of 2018, going into 2019, and then beyond that, 5, 10 years into the future. And then even applying, from that standpoint, an exercise which I've found to be very powerful in the past is really, not to be negative, but writing your own eulogy. What will people say about you when you're gone? And recently I came across a quote which was very powerful. It said, this particular individual was saying, that hell was actually meeting yourself, meeting the person you could have been at the end of your life. In other words, unfulfilled potential and so forth. So that was a very powerful thing. So using that eulogy thing to kind of see where do you want to be, at the end of your life. How do you want people to think of you? How do you want people, what do you want them to say when you're no longer here? What kind of legacy do you want to live? And that, of course, that gets way out into the future. And then the next step of that really is, looking at the past, you can learn from it. Both positive and negative, okay, but the past is the past. So one of the things that we use as kind of a theme in our 2018 was think of like the phoenix rising, right? So for the phoenix to rise, first it has to burn. And so, like, burn it, it's done. You can't do anything about what happened last year or even yesterday or even 5 minutes ago, okay? You can learn from it, but really you have to really, you should move forward. So I think it was Tony Robbins that said, your past does not equal your future. So get rid of the past, and then just start to move forward. And so with that being said, you can also take those goals you may have further out. You're really creating what I call your future self. So how are you now, and then how do you want to be in the future? So you start creating that, okay? And then once you've created that, then you can kind of, with any, this applies to any goal, but we use the term WOOP, W-O-O-P. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but WOOP just means that when you set a goal, you can, we say you can WOOP it. So, you know, WOOP stands for really basically, the W is the wish. Like, what is the big goal? You know, you can do this with any goal. It doesn't, you know, don't think about what I can't do, but just put something out there. What is my big wish? What do I want to accomplish? And the O, the first O, is really what is the outcome I'm going to gain from that? What is the benefit? Sometimes we refer to it as what is the why behind that. So looking at the outcome that you want to achieve. And then the other O is very important, is what obstacles may get in my way. So if you just set the goal and don't realize that you may run into problems, then that can be a barrier. You know, they've done studies looking at people who are interested in, had goals, for instance, of losing weight. And the ones that realized it was going to be a challenge, realized they were going to maybe run into some problems along the way, were much more successful in losing weight than those that just thought it was going to be easy. Okay, so being aware of those obstacles is important. And of course, all that doesn't help if you don't have a plan. So you want to create a plan towards achieving that particular goal. And then with that plan, kind of the next step is you need motivation. Again, this is something we've talked a little bit about in the past, but motivation, a simple formula for that is motivation equals your value times your expectancy divided by your impulsivity times delay. So how does that work? So first it needs to be, kind of gets back a little bit to the why thing again, is it needs to have value. Okay, so I'm not going to be motivated with my goal. I don't really have a deep reason or it doesn't attach to my core values. That's the kind of the fuel, so to speak. And then times my expectancy. This is a big thing I think for people, is what do you actually expect to attain that goal? Because if you set a goal that's maybe too far out, for instance, or you don't really expect to achieve it, you're not going to be very motivated to try. So that's sometimes when we talk about setting more like little micro goals towards your big goal. Something you can achieve now, then step by step you work your way forward. And then again, even if you have big numbers on top, if you have something you value and something that you expect to attain, but you let other things get in the way, that's your kind of impulsivity, or you put it too far out. I may have a goal for 10 years, but if I don't have something, if I don't back that up to what I can do now, sometimes again I'll have lack of motivation. So again, for the motivating part, motivation is going to be your value times your expectancy divided by your impulsivity times delay. And then the next step of that is really looking at something. It's really a big thing for me. That I'm working on personally, but also I've seen more and more as a big factor, is energy. Okay, so I can maybe have motivation. Okay, I can have good goals, but I also need energy to attain those things. I may have, I may have a good purpose, but I need energy to go out and get things done, to take action. And so, how do you create energy? And so we kind of focus on really things we've talked about in the past, but three things: movement, what you eat, your nutrition, and then sleep. So if you focus on those three things, getting yourself some exercise every day, making sure you're eating properly to fuel your body, and then getting enough sleep so you're rested, you'll have more energy, which kind of feeds into the motivation, which feeds into the goal setting. So that's kind of how those things fit together. And then another thing can be very helpful, and this was a big focus of last year, is creating systems. So I have a plan. I've kind of got my energy going, and I'm motivated to move towards my goals in 2018. But I need to kind of put some systems in place. And the way I look at it is the systems really, what that ends up creating is it creates a kind of a ritual. Okay, and then that ritual becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you don't really have to think about it. It's just part of what you do. And then you can move on and add other things to that. You just create one habit on top of another habit on top of another habit. So, for instance, a great place to start, a system is like your morning ritual. A morning ritual could be, a time for some meditation, some breath work. It could be the time that you exercise. It could be starting off your day with a energizing meal. that kind of gets you going for the day. And so once you've created that, it may be anywhere from a 15-minute ritual to an hour ritual, okay? Once you've done that, it just becomes part of your day. And I was reminding when I was putting this together is, I've, exercised and worked out really for most of my life. But I remember when I first got into training martial arts, I had trained, lifted weights, worked out, played sports my whole life. And I was actually, at the time, I was a personal trainer, and I was working with people. And, and I'm like, man, why are they not motivated to come to the gym, yada, yada, yada. And then I remember one day I was going to my martial arts practice. I'm like, I just don't feel like going today. I think I'm just going to take the day off. And I was like, whoa, that's what people feel like going to the gym. I've been going to the gym for so long, it was just part of what I did. It was a habit. The martial arts training at that time was not a habit. Now in my life it is. So anything, you can, if you choose to, you can create, really, if you think about it, our life is really just a matter of, it's really habits, good and bad. So sometimes we take a habit, a habit we want to get rid of and replace it with a good habit. That's how we make changes in our life. A simple one, I give some of my clients a hard time about, they say, I got to have that glass of wine at night. Nothing wrong with that, okay? But I ask them why. They say, well, it relaxes me, okay? So I always give them an option here. So if you don't meditate, okay, and you're using the wine for relaxation, could you not maybe flip those around and say, okay, I'm going to do away with the wine. That might be a habit that's kind of defeating my goal as far as, say, fat loss, and I add meditation. So I still get the stress relief, but I've now added a new habit that may empower me a little bit more. Okay, so that's another aspect of our training. And then lastly, I say, really look at it as a game. Sometimes, we want to play the game to win, but if we never enjoy the process and don't have fun with it, then also that's no fun either. So if we reach all our goals and we get there and we're still not happy, that's not a win either. So make it like, set your goals, but have fun with it. Enjoy the process. And I think that'll help make 2018, if not the best year ever, one of the best years ever. Thanks.